to lure in his new mate. Yes, it's the male's job to build this intricate nest during mating season to attract a prospective partner. Unusual, I know. But the weaver bird completes the basic structure. It's a very complicated scenario, and so too is the nest. It is also a very lengthy process, as weaver birds start nesting in August and stop building nests in February. I bet the poor guys are keen for a break come March. The nest is a sophisticated structure that starts off with the bird making a knot with a long blade of grass. He then creates a circular structure, weaving strips of grass, leaves, twigs, and roots using his beak and feet until he ends up with a ball-shaped nest that hangs from the tree. His strong, conical beak helps him to cut the materials required, and with help from his feet, the weaver can tie real knots in the nest material, making it more secure. And not only is he clever and resourceful, he's also fast, completing a nest in just 2 days. The nest is said to be 100% waterproof and survive violent storms. So this guy definitely has talent, don't you think? Before we go on, we have a cool challenge for y'all. It'll take about 5 seconds to complete. Let's make a deal. Just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you will get 10 years of amazing luck and fortune. Try it, it actually works. Number 14. Hammerkop. The nest building activities of hammerkops in central Mali are fascinating. Not only are they a massive undertaking, but they're constructed by both members of the pair. Just like us humans, they communicate with each other throughout the build to ensure it's completed to their specific requirements. The female is said to spend the most time on the nest, with most activity occurring during the early morning. The huge enclosed structures are built all year round, and can easily accommodate a human being. Each pair may build up to 5 nests a year. They occupy them for relatively short periods and can return to a previously occupied nest or renovate an old one. The nest height varies depending on the suitability of the site, and the entrance hole direction is dependent on the tree's position. A distinctive and legendary mystery bird with brown plumage and a hammer-shaped head, the hammerkop is widespread in Africa. It is considered a bad omen associated with lightning, leprosy, and even death, so it might be a bird to avoid. Number 13. Ruby-throated hummingbird. It's easy to see why the hummingbird's nest is so pretty. This beautiful little nest is built entirely by the female bird, with her tastes quite obvious in its design and creation. The male plays barely any role at all aside from mating. They have no part in choosing the nesting site, gathering the materials to build it, or raising the chicks once they are born. A fine example of an absent father, the male hummingbird has it pretty easy. The female, on the other hand, prior to hatching her eggs, spends several hours a day for up to 7 days collecting materials for her well-considered nest. She hunts out bits of moss and lichen, plant down from thistles, dandelions, or cattails, spider silk, cotton fibers, small bits of bark or leaves, feathers, fuzz, and fur. The solo mom weaves the materials together into a dense cup that appears to be decorated. This acts as a camouflage from the world, and the result is quite spectacular. She's a clever little bird too. The nest is designed specifically to protect the eggs from tipping in high winds, and the spider silk that binds it together gives it elasticity to enlarge as her little ones grow. The female hummingbird is a hard worker, but she's also a genius. Number 12. Bald eagle nest. It's not surprising that one of the largest bird's nests in the world was built by a pair of bald eagles, and possibly refurbished by its successors. The nest, located near St. Petersburg, Florida, USA, measured a whopping 2.9 meters wide and 6 meters deep. Not only that, but this nest weighed more than 2 tons. It must have been one enormous tree to cope with that monster. It was examined in 1963 and was found to be a genuine bird-created nest. The male and female eagles build the nest together, with both gathering materials for its structure, arranging them together, and bonding while doing so. Unlike other birds, adult bald eagles may continue to use the same nest each year, adding 1 to 2 feet of new material to the old structure. Eagles will return to the same nest and nesting territory each year if they successfully produce young at a nest. If their previous nest was unproductive and the pair decides to build a new one, the process begins 1 to 3 months prior to mating and is considered an important part of the breeding process. Every material is considered for the nest's design. Interwoven sticks create a solid structure, and the interior is lined with grass, corn stalks, and other soft materials to ensure the comfort of their young. Moss is included and may serve as an insect repellent. What an ingenious addition from Mom and Dad. Number 11. Edible Nest Swiftlet. Like the witch's house in Hansel and Gretel, this little bird's nest can be eaten. Not only does this make it eco-friendly, it's probably pretty handy when mom and her babies are hungry. The nest looks very cozy and is a common sight in the Andaman, situated in the Bay of Bengal between India to the west and Myanmar to the north and east. A tiny bird that measures just 12 centimeters long and weighs about 18 grams, the swiftlet and the glossy swiftlet live in the limestone caves of Andaman. Nesting deep within the caves and other poorly lit areas, the swiftlets use echolocation for navigation with sound waves as they bounce off the surface. Their nesting locations are chosen to ensure they are safe from natural predators, and due to their size, these guys are prey to pretty much any creature or animal bigger than them, including bats, cats, and rats. They build nests that can be eaten by humans and are considered a rare delicacy in Chinese cuisine. The fact that they are built out of the bird's solidified saliva would be enough to put me off, but others aren't so bothered. When exposed to sunlight, the white nest gets a golden hue, often referred to as white gold. It's also priced like it, at a whopping $4,000 per kilogram. Now, the biggest predator for the edible nest swiftlet are humans, and the bird has been added to the endangered species list. Number 10. European Bee Eater. These tiny, colorful birds burrow into the sides of sandy banks, preferably near river shores, and usually at the beginning of May. Similar to rabbits, the bee eater creates a relatively long tunnel in which they lay 5 to 8 eggs. Both the male and female care for the eggs, feeding and roosting as a couple. They look after their brood for about 3 weeks. During courtship, the male bee eater finds and delivers food to the female, feeding her large items and eating the small ones himself. They primarily feed on insects, especially bees, wasps, and hornets, removing the sting before consumption. The male steps up his game before and during egg laying, making sure his mate is well fed. As most males are monogamous and prefer just the one partner, they are very attentive. The bee eaters breed in warmer climates, including southern Europe and parts of North Africa and Western Asia. They are strongly migratory, spending winters in tropical Africa. Number 9. Sociable Weaver. Unlike almost every other bird on the planet, including their close relative, the weaver, the sociable weaver uses and maintains its nests right throughout the year. Their colonies can be as small as 10 or as large as 500, and their nests are found at phenomenal heights. In fact, from a distance, they look like small haystacks stuck up a tree or telephone pole. An impressive sight they must take a ton of work to create. Not only that, the sociable weaver does all the work, and other birds get to enjoy the benefits. Yeah, they are community nests, providing shelter and shade for a wide range of birds and other fauna. At Tswalu Kalahari Private Game Reserve in South Africa, for example, it was discovered that a large number of fauna, including paper wasps, took advantage of the sociable weaver's nest chambers. The paper wasps build their nest under the weavers, and other birds, like the acacia-pied barbet, ashy tit, and red-headed finch, roost rent-free in them. Baboons and slender mongoose use them as sites for foraging, and wild cats, such as leopards and cheetahs, often take refuge in them or use them to get a better view of the surrounding landscape. These massive thatch-like nests endure for many years and are large enough to house over 100 pairs of birds, spanning several generations at a time. Now that's impressive.